Don't Depend on Daddy is an unfiltered safe space, empowering young professionals to build independence in their 20s and beyond, whether it be personal, professional, or financial. Regardless of your age, relationship status, or job title, the most consistent person in your life is you. So join me and let's build our independence together. Enjoy! Hello and welcome back to Don't Depend on Daddy, the podcast. My name is Michela. I am your host. And today we are going to be talking about your winter rebrand, which I'm really excited about because obviously this is like my first true winter in a while. And now that I've been in Chicago for just about a month, I feel like I've learned a lot about the winter, or relearned a lot about the winter, because I grew up in New England. So this isn't my first winter. It's just my first winter in quite some time. Anyways, before we get into the bulk of today's episode, I am going to quickly run through all of our usual housekeeping. So we are actually going to be starting off with a new housekeeping item, and an exciting one at that. But this week, I finally listened to you guys and I launched what I'm calling for now, I might change the name, but it's the basic budgeting template. And this has been something that you guys have been asking me for years and years and years. And I've never actually executed on it just because I didn't want to cannibalize the PFD. That being said, I have received more and more requests for a simpler budgeting spreadsheet. And so I finally created one. So if you are interested in getting I don't want to say a step down from the PFD because that's not necessarily accurate, but just something that's a little bit more basic, as the name exactly describes. It's a basic budgeting template. So basically, you can customize your categories and whatnot, just like the PFD, but instead of having all these separate tabs and all these separate logs and all these separate insights in a big dashboard and everything, which is really great for many people, but can be overwhelming, especially if you're just getting started, you will just have like a monthly budget. And yeah, it's great. So if you want to learn more about that, I did post on this past Monday a YouTube video where I did a budget with me for January, and you can go through and see how that budget template actually works. If you're interested, all the information is in the show notes. If you're listening to this the first week of January, February, before February 2nd, I am running like a launch sale on the basic budgeting template. It's 25% off. You can use the code FIRSTBUDGET. And yeah, enjoy. And if you have questions about it, obviously, just let me know. The other newer, more exciting update, at least since the last time I recorded podcast, is that I am in the process of rebranding the Don't Depend on Daddy Instagram. So I'm really excited about it. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I feel like I have so much content and so many interests and whatnot. And as I've evolved in my business, there are pillars of content that I've started to create that don't necessarily fit properly on the Break Your Budget main page. And what I've discovered is, obviously when you have a business, and yes, it's a lifestyle personal brand, but Break Your Budget is a business. It has to make money. And so basically I was finding that all of the CTAs on my post were not necessarily CTAs to where I wanted them to be. A CTA is a call to action. And really, I want Break Your Budget to be primarily finance and career, and it's sort of become finance and lifestyle, which isn't a bad thing. And I'm still going to keep some lifestyle stuff on Break Your Budget, but I'm going to be moving the majority of my lifestyle stuff over to the Don't Depend on Daddy Instagram, which is the podcast Instagram. And I am ultimately going to be changing the Don't Depend on Daddy Instagram handle to my name, Michela Alaka. The podcast name is not changing, just to be clear. But that is kind of in the works. And on Don't Depend on Daddy, I'm going to be posting, the podcast clips and whatnot because I want people to find and discover and listen to the podcast. But I am also going to be sharing lots more lifestyle. So routines, habits, what I'm eating, coffee, lifestyle stuff in general, what I'm wearing, my outfit repeater series. A lot of that's going to be over there. And I'm really excited about it because especially this January, like I moved into my new place, I got everything set up, I'm kind of in this new, life and reality, and I'm wearing the clothes that I have, I'm being more intentional, whatever. I feel like I just have so much more, not even content that I've backlogged, but just like more that I want to talk about that I feel like it's just too much all on one Instagram page. So make sure you're following along on the Don't Depend on Daddy Instagram if you are interested in seeing like lifestyle stuff for me, because I'm having fun with it. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Next two things, and then we'll get into the episode, sorry. First is, the Break Your Budget page going forward, like I mentioned, is mostly just going to be finance career. And my current content plan on that is like 2 to 3 lifestyle posts, 2 to 3 finance posts, 1 career post. That ultimately is going to be like 3 to 4 finance posts, 2 to 3 career posts, and then 1 lifestyle post per week. And the rest of the lifestyle stuff will go to Don't Depend on Daddy. So, and ultimately my personal Instagram page, which is, like I said, the plan. We're going to move on from this. The last quick thing here is the personal finance dashboard, as always, is on sale with the code podcast1. If you are a podcast listener, that is a podcast exclusive code. So you can only use that code if you listen to the podcast, because I don't ever share or post it anywhere else. So with that, I think that's all the housekeeping or updates that I have for now. Let's get into the episode, where, as I mentioned, the topic is embracing winter and really using this like winter hibernation period to become the best version of yourself. I see a lot of people talk about the winter uglies. I think all of that sort of plays in. It's something that I've actually experienced in the move from California to here, just because obviously in Southern California, like the weather is so mild. So even in the winter, yes, it gets colder, but it's not cold. Like I never really had to turn my heat on or anything of that sort. So moving to like a much harsher cold climate, I feel like I just figured this out, wreaked havoc on my body and my skin for the first couple of, in my hair. My hair is still a work in progress here because the water is weird, but the first 2 weeks that I lived here, 3 weeks, honestly, I would say up until this past week, my skin was basically the Sahara Desert. And it was not necessarily like breaking out, but I don't, knock on wood, really break out anymore because I've got my skincare down on lock, but I was getting just like some small bumps. It's so amazing when you clear your skin, how like you take it for granted, because the second that I got a zit, I was like, oh my God, my life is over. I have to fix this, where I've got it under control. Anyways, if you are new here, just about a year ago around this time, I rebranded this podcast to be less financially focused and more holistic and like whole self focused. And, if you listen to the intro jingle, I know probably a lot of you guys skip it because I always skip the jingles when I'm listening to podcasts. But basically, I share how this podcast is meant to help you build independence and ultimately learn to become your own best friend and not rely on anyone else. I think this is really important, especially for women in their 20s and their 30s. And I obviously don't mean that in like a super harsh way, but you ultimately are the only person that you have forever in your life. So you might as well learn to love yourself and like love your relationship with yourself and really become your own best friend. And we do that through building financial confidence, through focusing on routines, finding a job you like, learning your style, up-leveling your appearance so that you feel confident. And these are all the topics that I talk about pretty much every week, with a different slice or direction or perspective. But today we are going to be expanding beyond some of the financial topics that I've really been focused on over the last couple of weeks, like underconsumption and material composition and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about winter, because now that I, like I mentioned earlier, am experiencing winter after going through this incredibly major personal life transition of moving from Los Angeles to Chicago. This is the first winter that I'm like kind of experiencing, not as an adult, but in 4 or 5 years. So it's definitely taken a lot of getting used to, not only from, like navigating the skin and the dryness of it all, but also just like I can't go outside, or I couldn't for a while because it was so cold. It's finally warming up. It's like in the 30s and 40s, which sounds crazy to even refer to that as being warm, but there were a few days where it was literally like -6. So when it's that cold out, you really can't go outside for more than like 5 seconds. So the reason why I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast being about independence is because I think winter specifically is the absolute best time to go through like a personal rebrand and really take advantage of the hibernation period to not just personally reset, which is my favorite thing to do in January, but also reset your intentions for the full year ahead and actually have the time and space to act on them. And, I feel like in the top of the new year, people set all of these resolutions, they set their intentions, and they do it so quickly because they want to start, hitting the ground running on January 1st. But I just don't feel like that's the best way to approach setting intentions for a new year. It's too rushed. You're not giving yourself enough time to really think about things. You're burning yourself out right from the start. And I don't really do that. And honestly, this year I couldn't because I was going through my move. And so I've taken the whole month of January and I plan to take, February and March when we're kind of in the thick of the winter time and being a little bit less social and, it's darker for longer. You're spending more time at home. I'm using this time to really work on building my relationship with myself or rebuilding that relationship with myself in a new place, because when you're in a new place, like everything you do kind of changes and shifts. But also, really set my intentions, get my routines right, and start feeling really good. So when it comes to be spring and summer, I'm feeling ready to emerge and ready to be really social. So overarchingly, we're focused on self-improvement. And I find that when I focus on self-improvement, not only do I tend to turn inwards overall, but I also tend to embrace more home time. I feel more relaxed and I feel most like myself. And the best time to do this, excuse my poor grammar right there, is Q1. So right now. So what I'm going to do today, after, that very long-winded intro, is outline 5 things that you can do during the rest of these winter months to really start embracing winter. Build your relationship with yourself and feel really great going into the spring and into the summer. I know that a lot of people get the winter blues, and I personally have not been experiencing that quite yet. I think just because it hasn't been that long, for one, that I've been in the winter. Although I will say, it was winter when I was home on the Cape, but because I was home on the Cape for a finite period of time and it was the holidays, I don't really feel like that counts. I feel like winter blues for people tend to start after the new year when you get into January, and it's January is a long month. Although, this is a hot take, I actually like January. But January is a long month and it's cold and it kind of feels like the winter is never ending. But I haven't been experiencing the winter blues quite yet. But the goal of doing all the things that I'm going to be talking about is to help you enjoy this season. Because unless you move to Florida or San Diego or something, you are going to be experiencing winter for the rest of your life. And even if you live in these warmer climates, there is still a degree of seasonality in terms of behavior. Maybe not in Miami, but just in general. Even in LA, I found that in the winter, because it got darker earlier, and it was, relatively colder than it usually is, people just act a little bit different. They don't go out as much. They're spending more time at home. It's just a little bit of a different vibe. And so, in my mind, because winter is a season we all will experience, most of us at least, year over year over year, instead of being miserable, I think you should learn how to like it. And so these are all of the things that I've been doing to embrace winter and really work on my 2025 rebrand, if that makes sense. They're all focused on wellness. They're all focused on habits, productivity, and the like. So let's just get right into it finally. So number 1 is to establish a seasonal morning routine. If seasonal routines only have one fan, it's me. I find that my routines change with the seasons. And what I always find hard about social media content, specifically the aesthetic, productivity, routine style content that all the girls post, which personally I love to consume that. But I do feel like everyone follows the same routines all year long. And to me, that is where the redundancy and the burnout tends to happen, because in the winter and in the summer, I am 2 completely different people. I operate on 2 entirely different schedules, I feel like. So I have a few different winter routines specifically that I've been alternating as of late for both morning and for night. So I'm going to run through them and highlight specifically what makes them winterized. So we'll start with the morning. In the morning, in the winter, I will wake up at 7 o'clock. It's very, very rare that I am out of bed before 7. And for some of you, that might be early. For me, like in the winter, I like to sleep until 7. In the summer, I'm up at 6. Like I like to be up. It's light out. It's warm out. I want to get outside. I want to start my day. I don't like to sleep too late, but I am not a 5:30 a.m. morning routine, and I am especially not a 5:30 a.m. morning routine or even a 6 a.m. morning routine in the winter because it's cold, it's freezing, and I just don't want to do it. And I don't have to. And most of us don't have to unless you're on like a very specific rigid schedule for a very specific reason. In the past, last year, and like you can go back and watch my videos because I talked about this a lot, I wouldn't work out in the morning in the winter, even in LA, because it was like 30 degrees out in the morning and I just didn't want to go outside. And I didn't have access to a gym because I didn't want to pay to join a gym when I could just walk outside most of the year. But now that I live in like an amenity style building, which I should do a whole episode on how amazing amenity style buildings are because like I am loving it, but that's a whole different conversation. But since I live in this building, like I have a gym in the building. So on some mornings, I've been going to the gym in the morning to walk on the treadmill. I very rarely, I won't say never, but I very rarely will do like a Pilates class or anything in the mornings in the winter because I find that strength training is something, even Pilates, like it's just something that I need to be a little bit more mentally prepared for. And if I tell myself that I'm going to like do a Pilates class in the morning, then it just hangs over me at night and I dread waking up and it just feels too heavy, if that makes sense. So instead, I like to keep my mornings a little bit more mentally easy. I think it makes it easier for me to get up and out when it's cold and dark and like my bed is really cozy and warm. After I walk, usually if I'm walking in the morning, I'm doing like 2 to 3 miles. So I'd say like 40 to 45 minutes on the treadmill, sometimes an hour if I'm feeling really good and I don't have like a meeting day or anything. But after I walk, I'll come back to my apartment. I will always rinse off, obviously change my clothes, do my skincare, put on an outfit, and then I get to work, which I'll elaborate on those details a little bit later in the episode. On the winter mornings where I don't go to the gym and walk, I will usually take about 30 minutes of like cozy time. So what does that mean? I'm getting up, I'm putting on my sweats, like my winter cozy clothes. I'm making a coffee. I'll sit on my couch. I'll read the Daily Stoic. Like I'm just taking a second to breathe. And then once I do that, I'm getting right into work, like pretty much straight away, and using those morning hours that I otherwise would be like walking on the treadmill or like, doing miscellaneous things to really get ahead and feel super, super good about the workday. Like I try to not waste too much time in the morning if I'm not working out. On days that I do this though, I will either stop working earlier in the day or I'll take a longer break in the afternoon, like a 12 to 2 or a 12 to 3, depending on what my schedule looks like that day. And I'll take like, a longer evening routine if I don't take that midday break. I know that is unique because I'm self-employed, so I'm not tied to a schedule. But if you are self-employed, it's kind of a great, flex if you are able to do that. The key things about my winter morning routine are that 1, I'm not going outside in the cold, and 2, I'm not forcing myself to get up early, especially if I'm feeling tired. Like the whole point of winter is to slow down and to recharge. And so I let myself do that. And I think that that's a big reason why people burn out or get really tired or sick of the winter is because there's so much pressure to like, you build your summer body in the winter, blah, 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 like all this fitness toxicity, in my opinion. The whole point of the winter is to hibernate and to like slow down and to rest. So I really think that should, kind of permeate all of your routines. Moving into evening routines, when I'm done working, if I am going to be working out, meaning that I didn't do like a full workout in the morning, although I will say I tend to work out, like workout is kind of a loose word. I tend to be active twice a day. In the morning, I'll do a walk. And if I do a walk in the morning, if I'm doing strength that day, I'll do like either a Pilates class that I'm going to or like, a 30-minute online Pilates class. Or I'll do like a 30-minute walk if I didn't do all of my walking in the morning. I try to get done and be finished with my workout though, like no later than 6:30, 7 o'clock, because at this point it's already super dark. And I know that if I finish too late, then I won't be motivated to go through like my whole winter self-care routine, which is essential in my opinion for defeating the winter uglies, which I'll get into those details a little later on too. After my workout, I'll do my shower and my self-care routine. And then I love to cook at home in the winter. I feel like the summer is more for going out during the weeks, but in the winter, it's like I am going to cook. I'm going to make my food. I'm going to lean into that. And I will always have like a fun little drink, like a Poppy or a Diet Coke or a seltzer water or something, because I think that that just adds a little spice to your winter routine. It makes things a little bit more fun and exciting when you're home. I know it's small, but like I look forward to that in the evenings. And then I will just eat dinner and like put on a comfort show. Right now I'm watching Sex and the City again. It's the best. And around 9:30 I go to bed and read. And I put my phone in a different room, which is also essential. And I'll read for like 30 minutes. I'm currently reading the Throne of Glass series. So that's like my evening routine in the winter, usually a smaller amount of exercise unless I didn't exercise in the morning. I'll shower and whatnot, I'll cook dinner, and I'll watch a show. Like pretty much very straightforward most weeknights, again, unless I have like dinner or I'm going on a date or something, which isn't something I'm doing more than one night per week, maybe. A few other small things that I did not mention. I have a Hatch alarm clock, which I have mentioned on here a bunch. Technically, it's not called an alarm clock. It's called a restore. That is something that I learned is like, it's not an alarm clock. It's a device, but you know, it serves the purpose of an alarm clock. It is the best thing to have in the winter. They actually just sent me their like new Restore 3. So I need to set that up and do like a full trial and review of it. But right now I just have the Hatch Restore 2 and I love it. And I know that the jury's out on this. Some people don't like it. Some people do. Personally, and I bought it all myself. Like they only recently started sending me stuff just because we worked together last year and their influencer marketing lead uses the PFD. So yay, that's a really cool win for me. But I love the Hatch alarm clock. I think it is literally the best thing ever, especially in the winter, for more reasons than it just gets you off your phone. But I love using it to set the vibes at night because I put the red light on. I have my like noise machine going on. It switches to brown noise. Like the vibes in the evening with the Hatch are the best. And then it also makes it a little bit easier to get up in the morning during the week when it's like dark and cold out. So food for thought. I love it. I think it's worth the money. And I also think that if you're going to spend money on something, like it should be something that you use all the time. And the Hatch is something that I use twice a day, every day, and have been using for like 3 or 4 years. The other quick thing here is that I sleep with my shades open, which I know is probably controversial. And maybe that's like impacting my sleep, but I don't feel like it is. And also because of where I live, like you can't see into my apartment. So like it's totally fine. But I find that sleeping with the shades open makes it easier to wake up in the morning too, because you get a little bit of light. When you wake up, it's not pitch black in your room. And it helps me wake up a little bit more naturally. So that is a little tip. If you find you struggle a lot in the morning, try sleeping with the shades open. So that's number 1, is establishing a seasonal morning routine. Next, for romanticizing the winter, is going to be investing in some winter cozies, in like really nice cozy clothes that you love to wear. I'm sure some of you knew this was coming, but I do think that you need winter sweats. And I'm not saying this in a way to promote shopping or buying stuff that you don't need, obviously, because that is, the whole theme of my page. However, having a couple of nice sweat sets, not a ton, like you don't need to have a ridiculous amount of sweats, but a couple of nice sweat sets, maybe 1 or 2 nice sweaters that you love to wear, a good pair of slippers, and a robe. All of these things make such a difference in how you feel, especially when you're hanging out at home. I always feel my best when I'm hanging out and just like watching TV or I'm getting out of the shower and whatnot in a matching sweat set. And all of my sweat sets are from Aritzia. They are all on my LTK if you are interested. But I basically have a gray, a white, and a black of sweatpants, sweatshirt, sweatshorts, crew neck. And I intermix. I love them. They're the highest quality, nicest sweats. And the reason why I specifically like the Aritzia ones is because of the colorway and how they do their colorways, because all of their colors match across all of the different pieces. So you can basically create your own little sweat set, capsule wardrobe essentially when you choose one or two colors that match. So I went black, gray, white, and I can wear like the black sweatpants with the white sweatshirt, or the black sweatpants with the black, or the black with the gray. And no matter what I buy of any of those colorways, I know it's going to match. And that I think is really key, because if you have a bunch of disjointed sweats, it feels sloppy. And I know that that's a very minor thing, but it's true. And actually, my friend Kate on Instagram, Kate Robb, had DM'd me and mentioned that she has been very much so like really consuming this underconsumption content and really thinking more thoughtfully about purchases she makes going forward. She actually ended up buying an Aritzia sweatsuit, and she let me know like which one she got and whatnot. And she has said that having the sweatsuit like has totally changed the way she feels about working from home in sweats. It made her more productive. And I do think, there's a level of placebo to that, but I do think that it is very real. If you like the way that you look and you like what you're wearing, you show up better. And sweats, if you work from home, are probably part of your uniform. So I think it's important to invest in sweats, especially if you're wearing them all the time, that you really, really like. And I wear my Aritzia sweatsuits, or at least one or two of the pieces of them, literally every single day. And I bought them all, most of them. I recently, in the past 6 months, bought all the crew necks. But the rest of the pieces, the pants, the hoodie, sweatshirt, and the shorts, I bought in 2022. And I've washed and reworn and washed them probably 1,000 times. So, they hold up. The other couple of things here, or I guess like winter cozies that I love. So first are these slippers. I actually have them on right now. So if you're watching YouTube, you can see them. These are from Amazon. And I just randomly bought them when I moved into this apartment because I have to have slippers on my feet. I don't like walking around barefoot. And I always have like socks and slippers on. But I bought these because I needed a pair of just like easy slippers to wear around my apartment. I think they were like $20. They are the most comfortable slippers I've ever worn. I don't know how I didn't buy these prior. They're not Uggs or anything. I think, again, they were like $20. They're on my LTK if you are specifically interested in the exact ones that I have. Highly recommend. And then also a robe. So the robe I did not buy because when I moved into this apartment, basically the gift that they give you when you move in is a, branded robe. So the robe has the name of the building on it. I'm obsessed with this robe. I was never a robe person. The way that having a robe has completely changed my life this winter, it actually is blowing my mind. Because basically, I shower, whatever, I towel off, I put my robe on, and I just hang out in my robe for a little bit. And it's great for like doing my red light and doing my skincare on my neck and my chest. It's just a little bit luxe, and I love it. It's so like, it's changing my life. And it's so minor, and it is also kind of obvious. But again, if you are in the winter and you're really struggling with like the self-care of it all, the cozy of it all, get a robe. And they don't have to be expensive. You can obviously get a nice one, but you can also just go to like Marshall's or HomeGoods or TJ Maxx and get, a less expensive one. I feel like a robe isn't necessarily something that you have to invest in. And it might just be the thing that makes a big difference in how you feel about yourself during the winter. So, food for thought. Moving on, we have 3 more here. Next, to pick out an at-home hobby or project. At-home hobbies, in my opinion, are essential all year long. Like, this shouldn't be something that's just specific to winter, but especially during the winter when it's cold and dreary out and you might not be motivated to venture outside. You need to have something that you can do at home to keep you occupied that's not sitting on your phone or watching TV. So a couple of ideas would be, picking up baking. Maybe every week you make a loaf of bread, or you try a new cookie recipe or something, or a pie. I want to bake a pie because I have a pie dish. It could be cooking. So every week, you're cooking 2 or 3 new recipes. Maybe that's what you do on Saturday afternoons is you choose a very specific recipe, you buy all the nice ingredients, and you go through and you cook it. Sourdough is another one. So I'm doing sourdough. I'm getting back into my sourdough era. And I actually bought a starter off of TikTok shop called Eve. It's amazing. So, I'm getting back into the sourdough of it all. I'm going to start doing my sourdough recipes. But it's a really great at-home hobby. And it's great, too, because you can like make stuff and then give it to people as gifts and stuff, which is really cute and nice. Painting and drawing is another one. I kind of want to get like an adult coloring book, but I also feel like I could do that on my iPad. Crocheting. This is another hobby that I've picked up, put down, picked up, and put down. I'm picking it back up this winter, especially like I have friends in Chicago, but I had more friends in LA. So like, I'm still kind of navigating that, and I have a little bit more downtime than I would have otherwise. And it's cold out. I don't have access to the same activities. So crocheting is something that I'm picking up or re-picking up this weekend, actually, which I'm looking forward to. Any type of exercising or meditation. So it could be an at-home workout. It could be doing breathwork classes at home. Just pick something that you can kind of default to when you're home during the winter and you're like a little bit bored and your natural inclination is to pick up your phone and scroll. Like, see if there is something else that you can find to do. The reason why I recommend these more like artistic kind of hobbies is because they're skills that you build upon. So like crocheting, for example, there's all these different stitches, right? So you kind of have to devote time to mastering it. Same with painting, drawing, like, you get better as you do it. So there's a level of not just commitment, but also satisfaction as you see your skill set on those improve. Also, like learning a new language could be an interesting one. There's just a lot of things of that nature that you could be doing at home during the winter for self-improvement and character development. I think hobbies are really key for character development specifically. You learn a lot about yourself when you try something new. And yeah, I really like crocheting. I'm excited to get back into that. The other layer of this too is keeping your hands busy. So I liked crocheting. I picked up crocheting originally because I found that even if I was sitting on the couch watching TV, like I was still on my phone. And that's embarrassing behavior. Like I don't want to be doing that. And so I picked up crocheting because then, my hands are occupied. I can't reach for my phone. And it actually works. So that's another reason why I need to get back into like this at-home hobby of it all, because I do find that, especially over the last few months as I've been going through this life transition and, there's a level of anxiety that comes along with all of that. I find that during periods where I'm feeling anxious or out of routine, I do tend to reach for my phone more. And once I recognize that, it's like, okay, I need to be putting or implementing things into what I'm doing to help avoid doing that. So crocheting, we're getting back into it. Next is to lean into a full winter self-care routine, which I like to call taking the extra 10 minutes. I've said that before on this podcast. This is my motto this year, both for morning and for night. Take the extra 10 minutes to put into yourself, meaning that in the morning, what are you doing? You're taking a shower or you're rinsing off when you wake up. I know people are morning versus night showerers. I am a morning and a night showerer because, first of all, I think it's disgusting to get into your bed without taking a shower. Even if you change your clothes, like your body is still dirty. Like I cannot comprehend how people do that. I understand why people don't like to shower in the morning because it like takes time. But I do think that even just like a quick 60-second body shower makes a huge difference in how you feel when you get out of bed. And it's not necessarily for like cleaning yourself off if you didn't work out, like if you just get up and you're not going to an exercise class or exercising at all. But like it's just so refreshing. Anyways, in the morning, rinsing off, taking a shower, giving yourself the 5 minutes to do that. Full skincare routine, always, because that's not just reserved for night. A little bit of makeup and getting dressed. On the days where I do not change, like I don't put on an outfit, I've noticed, where I'm just getting up, I'm not rinsing off, I'm not exercising, I'm just staying in my sweats and I'm having one of those like cozier mornings like I mentioned. I'm productive for a little, but it fades. Whereas on the days where I get up, even if I don't exercise, if I rinse off, put an outfit on, put some makeup on, do something with my hair, I feel so much more motivated and put together for the day, and I actually get significantly more done. That is not a placebo. If you feel good about yourself and you feel good about the way you're presenting yourself, you will show up differently throughout the day, even if you're not leaving. Like I am in a full outfit today and I am not leaving my house. I'm working from home. So, it goes to show if you get dressed, it can really change how you feel, what you do, and your output. At night, the extra 10 minutes means after you take a shower, because you should be showering at night, you are doing full body lotion. So this is something that I started doing last year, and I don't know why it took me so long to do it. I just never really had dry skin on my body. But I do full body lotion, so legs, arms, chest. I use an AHA moisturizer on my chest, and I also have a niacinamide serum. Both of them are from Paula's Choice that I use on my chest after I do my red light therapy. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Nighttime, shower, red light therapy. I do it on my face. I do it on my neck and chest. You don't have to do all of that, but if you don't have an Omnilux or a red light mask in general, and you're interested in skincare, it is something that I do think is worth it. I think my skin looks significantly better since using the red light mask, but that's a whole other conversation. I do the red light mask, so that's 10 minutes in and of itself. Then I will do full body lotion on my legs, on my feet. I'll put socks on so that the lotion absorbs into my feet. Excess goes on my arms, and then I will use the Paula's Choice niacinamide serum. It's a niacinamide body serum, comes in a purple bottle. I put that on my chest. And then I lock it in with the AHA body moisturizer from Paula's Choice. That also comes in a purple bottle. And the reason why I use the AHA is because it's supposed to like exfoliate, gently exfoliate, and even the skin tone on your chest. I mean, you can use it on the rest of your body, but I find that I definitely get more discoloration or like unevenness on my chest. And I'm really trying to be cognizant of skincare all the way down so that I don't age unevenly, if that makes sense. And I'll add a body oil too if I have one. I don't currently have one, but like I could get one. And just taking this time for body care, it will completely change how you feel about yourself. Like, it's so amazing. And I don't shave my legs every day, but like, it's so amazing how having smooth skin just makes you feel so much better. And again, if you feel better, you look better, you feel better, like it just, I don't know. So body care, nighttime skincare, really, really essential. This full self-care routine, the extra 10 minutes, I think is the key for defeating the winter uglies. I feel like people always say, like, do your self-tan and get your nails done. I'm kind of over self-tanning, if I'm going to be completely honest. I've always been the palest person that I know. I have very porcelain, like almost see-through skin on my arms. And for a while, I was embarrassed about that because it's like, I'm so pale. But I just don't care anymore. Maybe it's a facet of me getting older. I'm not going to be self-tanning 3 nights a week. I just don't want to do it. And honestly, like, it literally doesn't matter. In the summertime, maybe. And if I'm feeling really bad about myself, maybe. But self-tanner is expensive. And I just don't care. So anyways, I'm not self-tanning. I don't think that's something that you need to do. If it makes you feel good, do it. But it's not something that I find to be essential to like feel great about myself. Okay, I have one more here. Get out of your apartment or your house at least once per day. I feel like this is essential in the winter for staying sane. I have found now, because in LA, I felt very stir crazy and like very stuck. And I think a big reason why I felt that way, I mean, I left my apartment every day to go walking, but I feel like I felt that way because going anywhere, at least in the area I lived in, was kind of hard just because I had to drive pretty much everywhere I went. Like I wasn't in necessarily a walkable neighborhood. Like there were things I could walk to, but it wasn't like pleasant, if that makes sense. If you live in LA, you know what I mean. And now being here, because I can walk to so much more, like I can walk to the lake, which is amazing. I can walk to all of the shops, like in the Gold Coast area. I can walk to coffee shops. I can walk to Pilates. Like I can walk to the grocery store. My day-to-day things that I'm doing get me out of the house, obviously, but it just is so much easier to get out of the house. And then for the days where it's been really cold, I'm able to go down to the lounge. I'm able to go to the gym. So I'm able to go to the sauna. So these are all things that are ways that I am able to leave my apartment, even if I necessarily don't leave the building. And I feel like getting out of your space is so, so, so important during the winter time. Because yes, we need to hibernate. Yes, we need to rest, but we don't want to isolate, if that makes sense. And isolating means you're staying in your house. You're not making an effort to leave. Even if you're leaving and you're spending time alone, because like I'm doing a lot of that, but I'm still leaving. Every single day I get out of my house, whether that be going to a workout class, going to sit down in the lounge, even if like I don't want to, going to the grocery store, texting a friend to meet for coffee, if I'm going to go do some poking around, like seeing if anyone is available to come with me, like really making an effort to get out of the house and do something every single day. It doesn't have to be a whole big thing, but if you're getting dressed, for example, go run an errand, go walk around the block, do something to get out, because getting out makes you feel like you have purpose in your life, especially again, if you are someone who works from home. So those are the 5 things in the winter that I think you should think about or focus on to sort of like rebrand, hibernate, reset, and just feel overarchingly better and like work on your relationship with yourself. Ultimately, feeling good about yourself, feeling good in your body, feeling productive, feeling good about your routines is how you build confidence, right? So doing all of these things and really focusing on these things in the winter will help you feel more confident going into the summer. So just as a quick recap, first is establishing your seasonal winter morning routine. Second is investing in comfy clothes that you love to wear. So sweats, a nice sweater. I'm wearing my favorite sweater right now. It's my Jenny Kane. A nice pair of slippers, maybe a robe. Third is picking up an at-home hobby. I'm going to be crocheting. Fourth is leaning into the full self-care routine. So taking the extra 10 minutes to like really take care of your body. And then 5th is getting out of the house or your apartment every single day. A couple other quick, just like winter product essentials that have really helped me, especially being in like a super cold climate where the heat is running all the time. A candle warmer. I love my candle warmer. I feel like it really sets a nice vibe. It's nice on my desk, but it also helps A, the candle lasts longer. B, you're not lighting it, so no anxiety, because I always have anxiety that I forgot to blow a candle out. It's so funny how anxiety is. Like, I had anxiety that I forgot to blow my candle out when I never even lit it, and I don't even have a lighter. So how could it have even been lit? If you know, you know. But the candle warmer is a nice, like, cozy, warm kind of vibe setter. And it helps the candle just like smell. It still smells just as good, and it burns evenly, which is nice. A humidifier. This is absolutely essential. Getting the humidifier, I think, really helped a lot with my skin, because the heat in my apartment sucked me dry. It was horrible. I literally was like, why do I feel so tight and gross, especially the skin on my face? But the humidifier has been really helpful. I have that going 24/7. A shower filter. This has helped a lot too with dryness in my hair. I think this is less about a winter thing, but more just about if you live in a city with hard water. I didn't have this issue in LA, but here specifically, like my hair has been really dry. I got a shower filter. It's helped. But if you have like protein heavy conditioners that you like, definitely let me know. And then a nice, really deep moisturizer. So I use the Cetaphil moisturizer like all over my body. I also have an Aesop moisturizer that was gifted to me. I didn't buy it because that's not really something I would ever buy. And I do really like it. It's very thick. I will say on the face, my favorite moisturizer is and probably always will be the Summer Fridays Jet Lag Mask. I think that's the best moisturizer, especially in the winter. It is as good as everyone says it is. It's an automatic rebuy for me every couple of months whenever I run out of it. I go through probably a tube a month in the winter. It's the best ever. You can use it all over your body, but I mostly use it on my face and I put the excess on my hands. And yeah, you should get that if you don't already have it. Everything I've talked about is on my LTK if you are interested. As always, if you're not interested, like me mentioning that I have an LTK is not, you must go buy this. I know if you're watching this and you know me, you know that's true, but I got one message about it and it made me like very, very self-conscious. It's just a place for me to curate all the things that I'm currently using, right? Like, I think that goes without saying. Anyways, if you enjoyed this episode, let me know. And if you have topics or things you want to learn about, also let me know, because I'm really trying to diversify what I talk about on here. And if you have guests too, or things that you would want, people you would want me to have on, let me know. And with that, I'll catch you next week in the next one. Thanks for listening.